Tonight, we saw something we have very literally never seen before. The Los Angeles Lakers faced off against the Phoenix Suns with their backs against the wall in a first-round matchup, and for the first time in LeBron James' career, he could not overcome it. In 18 long years and 15 playoff appearances, LeBron had been able to lead his team to the second round at the very least every single time. That is, until now. The 2-seed Phoenix Suns just eliminated the 7-seed Los Angeles Lakers in 6 games, and as a result of this, we may finally have to face the reality that has been a long time coming that we all thought would never come, with that being the fact that it might actually be the end of LeBron James' reign at the top. Now trust me, this is not me hating or trashing him or putting him down by any means, and in all my years of watching basketball, LeBron himself can take a lot of credit for why I became as big of a fan of the sport as I did, but eventually we all have to face the reality of the situation. There have been so many times in the past where LeBron has been counted out, and because of how great he is, he's overcome it. But the writing has been on the wall for a while now that this year was different, and there's no more looking past it. For today's video, we'll be going through what led to this point, what it means moving forward, and specifically what this means for LeBron and his future. Before we start though, it turns out about 62% of you watching right now aren't even subscribed to the channel, so please, if you enjoy the content, consider hitting the subscribe button, as not only does it help out a ton, but I would also very much appreciate it. Now with that being said, let's begin. As I said in the intro of this video, it's by no means intended to come off as hating, and I'm also very aware of how many times this discussion has been had in the past only for LeBron's dominance to persist. Some of LeBron's greatest all-time performances have come in elimination games with his back against the wall, with a few that come to mind, being against Boston in 2012 when he dropped 45 points, against the Warriors in each of the games when they were down 3-1 to make that comeback, and against Boston again just a few years ago in 2018 when he dropped 46 points in an elimination game. It really got to a point where you just knew your words would come back to bite you if you wrote his teams off before the series was officially over, but that is over now. The phrase "Father Time always wins" seemed to apply to literally everybody except for LeBron, because at 36 years old, he was still playing basketball at an elite level, but Father Time may finally be taking his victory lap here after 18 long and successful seasons. A first-round exit doesn't only mark the first time LeBron's been ousted this early, but it also pinpoints the fact that he's no longer capable of being a one-man carry job who can take any supporting cast deep into the playoffs no matter how bad they are. The Lakers supporting cast this season got worse than it did a year ago, and again, the warning signs were there, which brings us to the next part of this video. Last season, the Lakers were a deep team with a strong mix of veterans that brought into their roles, former champions with experience and the mentality to shine in big moments, and hungry young players that all meshed well together and had great camaraderie on and off the court. Rajon Rondo, for example, wasn't always a consistent contributor in the regular season, but he's an example of a player who plays his best basketball when the pressure is on and thrives in moments where others shrink. Danny Green last year wasn't exactly a fan favorite, but he was a starter for a reason, and it's no coincidence that he's won 3 rings in his career. In the front court, Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee brought terrific defensive rim protection and operated well as rim runners offensively. Not only on the court, but anyone who followed these guys even a little bit, paid attention to how the team is off the court, knows that they were an incredibly tight bunch who all loved playing together, and above all else, that's an incredibly underrated part of building a champion. Teams that have had historically great talent have fallen short in the past because the chemistry just wasn't there, and alternatively, teams that didn't really have dominant talent on paper have beaten better teams because their chemistry was off the charts. That's just how sports work. This isn't a game of 2K, it's real life. So when the Lakers watched every player that I just named leave this offseason either in free agency or in a trade after winning a championship with that group, that's where the beginning of the end started. At the time, the moves all looked good on paper. They replaced those guys with talented players who were all coming off of solid seasons in their own right. Montrezl Harrell was the reigning 6th Man of the Year winner. Dennis Schroeder was actually the runner-up for that award. Marc Gasol is a former Defensive Player of the Year winner and champion. However, performing on paper and performing on the court are two very different things, and all three of those guys regressed big time this season. Schroeder's shooting efficiency peaked last year, only for it to regress back to the normal this year. Harrell's always been a high-energy guy who attacks the glass and finishes strong around the rim, but defensively, he struggles a ton, and on a Lakers team built around their defense, having the top-ranked defense this year, that didn't fly, hence why he was pretty much completely out of the rotation in the playoffs. Gasol's versatility would have been much more valuable if he was the player he was 5 years ago. However, unfortunately, he too is quickly approaching the time to retire, and his ability to impact games at a high level isn't close to what it once was. On top of all of this, both LeBron and Anthony Davis battled fairly serious injuries this season, and especially in LeBron's case, it's not something we've really seen very often with him. He's become known as a player that seemed to be indestructible because of how rarely he got injured, so when that happened, we should have known something was up, especially when LeBron himself admitted that he may never feel 100% healthy again. As I said, the writing was on the wall, and LeBron himself didn't even seem fully confident like he usually does when he's heading into the postseason. So then this all leads us to the question of where do they go from here? LeBron and Anthony Davis aren't going anywhere, and both Kyle Kuzma and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope are both under contract for a few more years as well, but besides that, they need to reconstruct a lot. Building a roster completely centered around everything running through LeBron is no longer viable, because he turns 37 next season, and he just simply cannot carry that large of a workload anymore. The team needs shot creators around him, rather than simply surrounding him with spot-up shooters who rely on LeBron to create the chances for them. They won't have much cap to work with, but at the same time, the allure of being able to play with LeBron has brought countless free agents in to accept discounts in the past and could once again happen now. Then again, if LeBron's dominance and ability to contend for titles is over, it really doesn't change anything, as his greatness is already cemented in history, and nothing from now moving forward will change that. He's at minimum a top 2 player in the history of the sport, with a great case to be made for that #1 spot, and it's been incredible watching him all these years. All good things have to come to an end eventually, and this very well may be the beginning of that end. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below what you think about where the Lakers and LeBron James should go from here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.